Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of conflict or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
You's a clown, that's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? Huh? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you say on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you are new here, welcome. If you have been rocking with me for a while, welcome back. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. If you have not figured it out from the thumbnail and from the video, and even from the membership, we will be discussing Lamor Whitehead. Yay! Shout out to everyone that is in the chat. We had some new members that as soon as I posted, they joined the membership. So welcome to our legal community over here. Fonta Lewis, welcome. I also gifted some memberships. So shout out to all of the ones that received those memberships. Shree Beavers, welcome, welcome, welcome. They say you're nasty. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for supporting the platform and all of you for all of your continuous support. Now, if you are a member, you got a little snippet of one of the character letters that was submitted on behalf of Lamor Whitehead. Many of you guys know who Lamor Whitehead is. And when we get into the sentencing, some of the information will be in the sentencing memo that was submitted. And I advised you guys that the next time we came on, after I was just there a few weeks ago where he was remanded, go check that video out. That the next time we came on, it would be most likely to discuss the sentencing memos and the guidelines and what his attorney would be asking for. We were also very curious as to the character letters, as to who on this here earth, in this divided states of America, is going to support Lamor Whitehead and vouch for his character. Well, now we have the answers because it was actually attached to as an exhibit to his memo. And it was also mentioned, some of the people were mentioned within the memo as well. So we have a lot to cover today. We have a lot to discuss. So again, if you came in here and you forgot to hit the like, I get it. I get it. It's a lot. You probably ran up in here because you wanted to see what this sentencing memo was about. So I understand if somehow you forget. But this is just a reminder to refresh your recollection to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Good evening to you, Ray Mellon. Thank you for being a member for 11 months. You've been a member probably as long as we've had a membership. And for that, I am grateful. For Grace, thank you so much for gifting these memberships. We appreciate you expanding our legal community. And yeah. Let's get into this, though, because some of you guys were a bit shocked at what was being requested. I'm not really shocked, because it is the defense attorney is supposed to do what they're supposed to do, which is to defend their client and get the best outcome. Sometimes if you don't win in trial, which was the case here, you try to at least minimize the consequences and the punishment. And you ask the judge, please give grace and mercy to my client. So I'm not as shocked as many of you guys are. I think you guys just feel like he should just say, I did it, give it to me. But no, that's not how it works. He is still maintaining that he is innocent, and his attorney is doing what attorneys do, which is trying to see if they can get the least amount of punishment for their client. So without further ado, I see you guys piling in, but you guys know I don't tarry long. I try to get to it. Plus, this is a 31-page memo. Now, I will say more of the memo, well, a lot of the memo, I guess I should say, talks about who Lamor Whitehead is, okay? So I'm going to skip around a bit before we get to, should I do it in order? Maybe I'll do it in order because some people are coming in, so I don't want you to miss when they talk about him and his character and who he is. Very interesting. But we are going to get started at the beginning. Now, on the previous video, I asked you guys, I think you guys may have asked me, how long did I think that he would get? I believe, I can't recall correctly, but I think I said 10 to 15-ish. Is what I said would probably be what the guidelines are. And many people, y'all was over at 20 and 30 and 100. No, it wasn't 100. I'm exaggerating. But you guys were way at the top. But you guys will see why I kind of guesstimated that in my head of what his sentencing perhaps could be. So let's get started, okay? Defendant Lamor Whitehead, by and through his attorney of record, Miss Dawn Florio, pursuant to 18 U.S.C. sections 3553A, hereby respectfully submits this memorandum requesting the court sentence Mr. Whitehead to a non-guideline sentence. So they're asking that the guidelines don't even be considered, of supervised release, which is justified by the circumstance and factors to be considered and is sufficient but not greater than necessary to comply with the purposes of sentencing. Let's get into the intro. This memorandum is respectfully submitted on behalf of our client, Lamor Whitehead, who is scheduled for sentencing on June 17th at 10 a.m. sharp. Provided herein is pertinent background and legal argument for Your Honor's consideration in determining the appropriate sentence. Let's get into the summary in sub A. Lamor Whitehead was arrested. This is for those that don't know, that are kind of new to this, and we have several videos dating back for probably a year and a half. And so I can see some of you guys are new here, so you may not know too much about Lamor Whitehead. So even though this is going to be general, because the defense is not going to belabor any type of bad information, it does generally tell you kind of what was going on and what the accusation was and all of that good stuff. So the summary is Lamor Whitehead was arrested on December 19th of 2022, and he was released on a $500,000 personal recognizance bond. On March 7th of 2023, Mr. Whitehead was charged in a 5-count superseding indictment. So he was indicted at first, and then the government superseded it, meaning they added additional counts, and he ended up having 5 counts total. Count 1 of the indictment charged Mr. Whitehead with making material misrepresentations to victim 1 in order to obtain $90K from her in violation of 18 U.S.C. section 1343. That is Miss Pauline Anderson. Count 2 charged Mr. Whitehead with making material misrepresentations to victim 2 in interstate communication in an attempt to convince victim 2 to transfer money or property to him in violation of 18 U.S.C. sections 1343 and 1349. That is Mr. Brandon Belmonte. Count 3 charged Mr. Whitehead with using threats of force to attempt to obtain $5,000 from a business owned by Brandon Belmonte in violation of 18 U.S.C. section 1951. Count 4 charged Mr. Whitehead with stating to federal law enforcement that he only owned one cell phone when he knew that he owned another cell phone in violation of 18 U.S.C. section 1001. And count 5 charged Mr. Whitehead with making material misrepresentations through interstate wires in order to attempt to obtain $250,000 business loan in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1343. We'll go to the procedural posture. The defendant appeared before this Honorable Catherine H. Parker, who is the magistrate judge, and he pled not guilty to the superseding indictment on March 17, 2023. On February 26, 2024, a jury trial commenced before the Honorable Lorna G. Schoenfield, District Judge, and your girl was there. And I gave blow-by-blow and play-by-play of that trial because it's in federal court. So you do not have cameras. We do not have the opportunity to record like we do in state court, such as for Ernest Williams' case. So in this one, I had to literally take notes every day and come back and, try to relay it to you as colorful and as theatrical as I can so you guys felt like you were in the courtroom. Again, go back and look at those videos if you missed the trial. The trial concluded on March 11, 2024 with a conviction on all counts. So he was found guilty on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counts. Probation calculated the offense level as 31 and the criminal history category of 2. So based on the guidelines, because I told you guys it all depends on going through the sentencing guidelines, the range at this level is 121 to 151 months imprisonment. So after the probation officer, he went to the probation officer. He has to give all his information. You have to be transparent. Probation officer, they investigate. And then based on the guidelines, the federal sentencing guidelines, they come up with what they believe based on how they plug everything in, the guidelines should be. So 121 to 151 months is approximately 10 to 12 years is what they calculated based on the guidelines. It's 1,000 of you guys in here. Welcome. Make sure you hit the like. Toria, thank you so much for the super chat. You said, thank you, Dial Baby, for staying on the story. I have been wondering if the beggar was going to do next. No, he has to. So I told you guys they have to do the sentencing guideline, the sentencing memo, and then the government responds. But in the interim, of course, he goes to the probation officer who gives their PSR, their pre-sentencing report. And so now I'm very theatrical. Is that a good thing? It's one cat. Is that good? Or, it's really literally my personality. Foil Fashion House that I have been a sentencing guideline specialist. Fun job when it's a career criminal. Oh, wow. So you have a lot of insight into this whole sentencing guideline situation. Let's see. But it goes on, guys. So the probation groups count 1, count 4, and count 5 into group 1 and count 3 into group 2. Probation recommended. Now, this was the recommendation of probation is below the guidelines. So not only you can request based on the factors, whether they stay within the guidelines or whether they go above the guidelines, which may be above what the guidelines say or at the top of the guidelines, or below the guidelines. And apparently, according to this, Probation recommended a below guideline sentence of 90 months, which is like 7.5 years or something like that. So they recommended 90 months for count 1, 2, 3, and 5, and 60 months for count 4 to run concurrently, so it will run at the same time, not consecutive, resulting in a total sentence of 90 months. So what probation is asking for, or what their recommendation is, well, I'm not asking for it. That's not what they're asking for. But what their recommendation is that he get 90 months. Now, we don't know all of the factors that probation put into this. We only know what we know about his history and what he's been charged with and all of that. So I don't know how they came up with that recommendation. That's not anything. Typically, your PSR is not released. So we may not never know how they came to that decision. So then they go into the argument on the sentencing pursuant to 18 U.S.C. section 3553 sub A, where it says, in accordance with the Supreme Court's decision in U.S. v. Booker, which is the seminal case when you go with federal guidelines, and the Second Circuit's decision in United States v. Perez, the sentencing court must consider all of the factors identified in 18 U.S.C. Section 3553A, including the advisory sentencing guidelines established by the U.S. Sentencing Commission. Those factors are in relevant part. So then they go through the factors. Number 1 is the nature and circumstance of the offense and the history and characteristic of the defendant. 2, the need for the sentence proposed, A, to reflect the seriousness of the defense, to promote respect for the law, and to provide just punishment for the offense. B, to afford adequate deterrence to criminal conduct. C, to protect the public from further crimes by the defendant. And D, to provide the defendant with needed education or vocational training, medical care, or other correctional treatment in the most effective manner. Number 3, the kinds of sentences available. Number 4, the kinds of sentences and the sentencing range established for the applicable category of defendant as set forth in the guidelines. 5, any pertinent policy statement issued by the Sentencing Commission. 6, the need to avoid unwarranted sentencing disparities among defendants with similar records who have been found guilty of similar conduct. 7, the need to provide restitution to any victims of the defense. A sentencing court is permitted to find all of the facts appropriate for determining a sentence, whether or not that sentence falls within the guidelines. In U.S. v. Booker, the Supreme Court held that the mandatory sentencing guideline system violated the Sixth Amendment pursuant to the Booker remedial opinion, and as further explained in subsequent Supreme Court cases, the sentencing court is to apply the factions as set forth in 18 U.S.C. So basically, what they're saying is that Booker, which is a United States Supreme Court case, held that having mandatory sentencing guidelines, meaning that you have to sentence within these guidelines, is a violation of the Sixth Amendment. So even it's supposed to be just that, a guidance, and they don't, and the court does not necessarily have to go with that guidance. Okay, let me go through. The district court need not presume the guidelines range is reasonable, and it must make an individualized evaluation of the facts and circumstances before it. In so doing, the sentencing court should consider the possibility that a guideline sentence is not just unnecessary to accomplish the goals set forth in section 3553 sub A, but that such a sentence would be, quote, greater than necessary. Put differently, that a guideline sentence will actually thwart application of section 3553A. In addition to the heightened risk to inmates in federal correctional facilities during the COVID-19 pandemic, exposed serious problems within our prisons and jails, which warrant consideration. So also what's going on in the jails because of the pandemic should also be considered. And then they go in Davis v. Ayala, which is Justice Kennedy concurring, called for heightened judicial scrutiny of the projected impact of jail and prison conditions on defendant. The Honorable Victor Marrero, a district judge in the Southern District of New York, granted a downward departure where the defendant's pretrial conditions were, quote, qualitatively more severe in kind and degree than the prospect of such experiences reasonably foreseeable in the ordinary case. Judge Marrero also stated that, quote, potential conditions of confinement that a particular defendant is likely to encounter while in custody after sentencing merit consideration. So then she goes on to the calculation of these guidelines. Okay, why is my chat not showing up over here? Hold on. Oh, there it goes. Guys, all right over there? I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot over here at PAMU. But I'm not going to read like everything, but I did want to generally let you guys know how it goes, because I talk about these guidelines all the time, and now you get to see what they consider. We just went over that, and then you go into calculating. So she is in sub B with the calculation of the guidelines. The offense level is as calculated by probation is incorrect. So she's saying this offense level that probation has rendered is not right. The most reasonable calculation of the offense level is laid out below. As a first matter, we do agree with probation's grouping analysis. So they do agree that count 1, 2, and 5 are grouped for guideline calculation purposes because the offense level is determined largely on the basis of the total amount of harm or loss, the quantity of a substance involved, or some other measure of aggregate harm. Count 4 is grouped with counts 1, 2, and 5. Counts 1, 2, 4, and 5 comprise group 1. Because the guidelines for count 3, this guideline is excluded from being grouped with count 1, 2, 4, and 5. Therefore, count 3 comprises the group 2. So it just kind of goes on to what they think. Because as you see up here, pretrial services in the PSR, probation made him a level 31. Probation calculated the offense level as 31 and the criminal history category of 2. So they are arguing that, which basically gave them those months within the guidelines that they came up to because of where he was where the offense level was and what his criminal history was. So let's go on. They are essentially saying, like, when it comes to the loss, there really wasn't a loss like that. Okay, you have Pauline Anderson. She had the $90,000 that she was alleging that she lost. I think at trial it turned out to be 85 because he gave her 5,000. But they're saying there really wasn't a loss because the 250, I don't think he ever received. And so they're saying the harm was not as great as what was calculated by the probation. So the probation calculated the loss amount as follow. Fundora was $250,000, Connect One Bank $1 million, Homebridge 1.3, Bethpage 500, FM Home Loans, which is where those apartments are out there in Connecticut, is 4.1. Victim 1 is 85,000, which would be Pauline Anderson, for a total of 7,285,000. That's what probation was saying the actual loss is. The defense disagrees with the loss amount, while the commentary to the sentencing guidelines state that the loss is the greater of actual or intended loss. This is just commentary. So because they're arguing that because there's not an actual loss of all of this, it was an intended loss because I don't think he got the money from Fundura. Connect One, Home, all of that. He wasn't even charged with those. He wasn't even charged with all of these amounts that's on here. FM loans, when it comes to the Connecticut property, it was mentioned and talked about because he used the same documents and bank statements and all of that to try to get these properties that were falsified documents. He used those, but he was actually not charged with it, which is, I didn't understand why they just ain't charge him with it, but they did not charge him with a lot of this stuff. And so because of that, you're asking the court to consider a loss based on uncharged incidents that he wasn't even charged with, is what their argument is. So So they're saying United States v. Banks has held that loss most readily means actual loss, not intended loss, like what was actually lost. So they say in this case, the actual only loss for which Mr. Whitehead was convicted is the $85,000 loss to victim one, which is Anderson. Additionally, it should be noted that even if the court were to look to the intended loss rather than the actual loss, probation's calculation would still be excessive. Mr. Whitehead was convicted of the conduct related to victim one in count one and Fundura in count 5. This means that the conduct Mr. Whitehead was actually charged with and convicted of will result in a loss of $335,000. So he was charged with Fundura. So even what they're arguing is, even if there was an intended loss instead of the actual loss, it was 200 and Fundura was 250,000 plus Pauline Anderson's was 85,000, and that total is only 335,000. What probation did was they added everything that they talked about in the trial, even the uncharged offenses, and it came out to over $7 million. If this court uses intended loss, it should be that intended loss which was actually in the case. The alleged intended loss to Connect One Bank, Homebridge Financial Services, Bethpage Federal Credit Union, F and Home Loans was uncharged conduct admitted pursuant to the government's motion in limine, not substantive conduct for which Mr. Whitehead was charged. The inclusion of a large amount of uncharged conduct, which the government did not have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, increases the loss amount by nearly $7 million. Above that, which was actually charged without providing any of the procedural or due process protections that Mr. Whitehead would have received, were they charged at trial. While some courts have upheld such an approach, the question remains, what is consistent with the dictates of Booker? Okay, so that is that. So they're saying the calculation by pretrial services was off because they only should have included what he was actually charged with, and that's it. Let's move on. Did I miss anything over here? Let me see. Nope. Okay. Let's move on. 1,300 of you guys, please hit that like button. Then there was a 2-level enhancement in group 2. Mr. Whitehead should not be given a 2-point enhancement. This states that the level should be increased by 2 if the offense, quote, involved an express or implied threat of death, bodily injury, or kidnapping. Mr. Whitehead testified at his trial and stated that he was upset about the fact that his wife's vehicle had not been fixed yet and was yelling at Mr. Belmonte regarding that. This section of the transcript in the PSR supports this interpretation. Mr. Whitehead is clearly stating that some people think that because he is a bishop, they can take advantage of him, and that he refuses to be taken advantage of. The statement, quote, "I will hurt you," end quote, is clearly in the context of stating that just because he is a bishop does not mean that he is someone who can be taken advantage of. So apparently in the sentencing guidelines, there's a 2-level enhancement of which the probation decided to provide in the PSR based on threats, because Mr. Whitehead said, "I will hurt you." And what he is arguing is, hey, judge, I will hurt you don't really mean I will hurt you. Not for real, for real. That's not really what it meant. I wasn't saying I'm going to hurt you, even though I'm all over the internet trying to fight D.L. Hughley, and I'm challenging Larry Reed, and I'm challenging, who else? Uncle Murder. Was it Uncle Murder? I'm challenging all these people to fight, but I ain't no violent person or nothing. I didn't mean I will hurt you, mean I will hurt you. I was just saying I was mad, and I'm a bishop, and you just not going to take advantage of me. This is a more general statement consistent with things in the transcript, like, quote, I stepped to my business, rather than a direct threat of harm to Mr. Belmonte. This analysis results in offense level of 19 at criminal history category 2. This results in a guideline range of 33 to 41 months. So they're arguing that the guideline should even be up there in the hundreds. It should only be between 33 and 41 months. So he really, according to the way they're calculating, should only be in the guidelines with 2 years. What, 2 to 4 years? Around that, 2 to 3 years. That's what they're arguing.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? Huh? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh?
I'm not gonna call you
Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you said on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Got it?
I mean, he's just as humble as a lamb. Can't you tell from the video? I wouldn't have taken that. If you guys would have heard, there was a snippet that they played in court of him going off on Brandon Belmonte. He talked about his wife was with another man right now, had his whatever in his face. I mean, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. Let's get into the criminal history. Because some of you guys do not know, in the earlier videos, we actually went over the transcript from when Whitehead was sentenced in the first case. Whitehead, the judge went clean off in that sentencing. And I may go over that again, maybe sometime in the membership or something. That transcript, that judge was like, basically said that he was one of the worst criminals he had ever seen in his years. And he said he was more dangerous because at that time, internet was really starting to have steam. And he was able to, you know, he was convicted of identity theft and all these other different thieving type allegations of what he was found guilty of. So Tracy, thank you for the super chat. She said, well, the loan charges need to come from CT because he was in CT when he requested the money. Like the video, everybody. We have fun here. Thank you. No, I think, you know what? I still believe that. So I played the video of which Brandon Belmonte, who is one of the victims, he is currently indicted as well, facing his own upcoming trial. I personally believe that Brandon Belmonte was trying to make sure that he get as less a sentence as possible. This is just Pam. And he was trying to cooperate. He knew he had gotten to some issues and people had issues with him. So he was trying to cooperate. So when Whitehead kept bragging, although falsely, about his relationship with Eric Adams, he turned it somehow, which I still didn't get. Brandon Belmonte turned it into, I think the mayor's trying to extort me for money. Now, you go to a federal agent and you say that a mayor of the city of New York is trying to extort you. Of course, they're going to check into it. And so that's what kind of piqued their interest on him. But once they got the phone records and text and realized Mayor Adams was not talking to Whitehead. I'm not saying they didn't have a relationship sometime in the past, but from the text they had from 2016 on, he was doing everything but trying to be in the same company as him. And it may have been because he was a politician at this point and he knew who he needed around him, but he did consider Whitehead a mentee. That he did do. But he was checking them in all them texts. Like he was letting them know, like the way he went off on everybody on the internet, including your girl, he was going off on local prominent bishops and that had real clout, like real bishops, like Figueroa, like people you know and you heard of. in real life. Like, we never heard of Whitehead until all of this stuff happened with the robbery. So people around Adams was like, hey, dude, it's not a good look for you to be around Whitehead like that. So there's a lot of texts where he's checking them and he's telling them, take my name off flyers. I'm not supporting you in what you do. That's what a lot of those texts were. So I think that the government, once they got into it, they realized that he was a con. However, and that he was scamming people, but it was just him as being him. It was nothing that was going to go in lights that was going to be a big thing, like when you have a politician that goes down. It wasn't anything like that. So did they dig into everything? Probably not, because it seems like they would have dug into the glory of God situation. The stuff that happened in bankruptcy court, when the judge in the bankruptcy court was saying she thought she was going to have to contact the DOJ. You know, it was just so many different things that right now he is in court because the person that bought the building, I guess in the tax auction that Gloria God was in, he's alleging that Whitehead fraudulently changed the deed. It was all of this other stuff that didn't even make this case or didn't even make any of this. So I would propose that they knew what they can get them on, and they just continue with what they had with the original and, original warrants and all of that, instead of really getting into more stuff. That's just my opinion. So let's get into the criminal history. The defense concurs that under the guidelines, Mr. Whitehead has a criminal history of category 2 with 3 criminal history points from a 2006 Suffolk County case of identity theft. Mr. Whitehead was convicted after trial. However, he has always maintained his innocence and that he was wrongfully convicted. He used to say he was actually illegally convicted, and I used to be like, what does that even mean? Mr. Whitehead challenged those convictions as well as the sentencing. On appeal, Mr. Whitehead's sentence was reduced as a result of these appeals, as the court imposed an illegal sentence. So I went over that before. What happened is, I think this judge the court was kind of over Whitehead, and it was some discrepancies that ended up occurring. So those of you that were wondering why he got out early, because he was sentenced to like 21 years and he only did like 6.5 to 7 years. He lost all of his substantive appeals. However, when he originally was charged, there were several counts that he was charged with. Then they got, I think it was like lower counts at first, 4 or 5. But then, just like this, they kind of got into it, and then they added more charges. And this was on the state side. This was not federal. More charges were added. He goes to trial. He loses like half of the charges. So he loses like half. He's found guilty on half, and he's found not guilty on the other half of the charges. So the judge, it looked like to me when I was reading the transcript, he was finding him guilty on the counts that were the ones that he were found not guilty. So there was discrepancies in that. Then the judge made it consecutive, meaning back to back to back to back, instead of concurrent, which is at the same time. So because of the way the sentencing happened and how the judge did it, he was able to get it reduced. Plus, it appears he may have been a good fella up there in prison. And so all of that, how your behavior is while you're in there, also may affect your ability to get out. So that is what happened. Now, Whitehead has consistently come out and said, I didn't do it. He even at one point said that he lost a habeas petition, I believe, which is the last resort. But he's even come out and said that he was still fighting it. When people were like, okay, so if you were wrongfully convicted, why aren't you, out here fighting? He's actually said that he was still fighting it. However, we have zero evidence that he had any litigation that was trying to exonerate him of these charges. Or these convictions rather. So Mr. Whitehead's sentence was reduced as a result of these appeals, as the court imposed an illegal sentence. This sentence reduction resulted in Mr. Whitehead being released from prison before the rest of the appeals would be completed. Were these appeals to have been completed and successful, Mr. Whitehead would have been fully exonerated. First of all, he lost a few of those appeals on the substantive evidence that he was claiming, which he put out here about illegal stamps and illegal notaries and all this stuff. Okay. He already lost that. I went over that on another video a long time ago. So he had lost that already, but that's what he was saying about the warrants and going in the wrong jurisdictions. Jurisdiction. A lot of people talk about jurisdiction. He mentioned that as well. And it did not work on the appeals, on the appellate side. You are not necessarily precluded from continuously fighting for an exoneration. You can still ask for the governor to pardon you, and that would take all of that away as well. I know individuals that have been pardoned. So to make it seem like because he got out before the appeals could be fully briefed, I don't necessarily agree with, counsel. I don't necessarily agree with that, but you know, you're doing your job. You're doing your job. That but for him being out because of the sentencing being wrong, he would have got exonerated. Think it's a far leap of faith, but you know, you're writing your memo, and I can appreciate that. So, anyways, probation mentions that this case involved as many as 57 victims. However, that is not accurate. The case involved less than 10 victims. However, there were numerous duplicitous or lesser included counts as to each victim. 23 of those counts were dismissed before trial, and Mr. Whitehead was acquitted of 17 of the remaining 34. So, yeah, he had 34, and then half of those he got acquitted, and the other he was found guilty. While this conviction is counted for 3 criminal history points under the guidelines, it should be noted that this case involves conduct that is close to 20 years old, quite remote in time. What is interesting about that case is, from my understanding, I have to look at the transcript again. I believe he still has like restraining orders. Some people have restraining orders that were in this case that expire in like 2034 or something crazy. Like the restraining orders aren't even up yet. But yeah, I have to look back at that and double check. I'll put it in the membership after I double check. So then they want shadow guidelines, which is basically an American Bar Association alternative approach to the guidelines. So they go through that as to that. So we're not going to go through that because they go through the same base offense. Let's get to the history and the character of the defendant. Y'all ready for this? Go ahead and hit the like button. Hit that like button. Where is Lolisa? Because you guys can imagine what it said in this memo in the beginning. Lamor Whitehead, for those of you that don't know him, he's given a background of his life. Lamor Whitehead is a 46-year-old and was born in Brooklyn, New York. He has completed his high school diploma and some college. Mr. Whitehead has additionally completed his studies in theology and is an ordained pastor. In 2022, Mr. Whitehead received 2 honorary doctorates of philosophy, PhD in parens, degrees, 1 in theological studies and 1 in business and management real estate from Harvard Christian University. Okay. Mr. Whitehead is legally, for all of y'all talking about this man is not legally married to this woman. They said Mr. Whitehead is legally married. And I think that's for y'all, because who just says I am legally married? Usually just say they married to so-and-so and such and such and such and such. You don't throw the word legally in there, except if you guys out here in these comments have been talking about this man was not legally married to this woman. And so now they have to put in there the legally marriage. Hey, Thais. Yes, it was honorary. That's what it was. Legally, just in case you guys were wondering. Legally married to Asia Whitehead and has 3 biological children. In addition to helping raise Mrs. Whitehead's daughter from a prior marriage, prior to his incarceration, Mr. Whitehead was the presiding bishop of Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries in Brooklyn, New York, and holds the rank of chief apostle. Lamor Whitehead was born to Arthur Miller and Faith Patricia Whitehead in 1978. Faith Whitehead is 73 years old and lives in New Jersey. She is retired and previously worked for the New York City Department of Education as a school bus driver and administrative staff. Arthur Miller owned a construction company and worked as a community activist until he was tragically killed by the New York City Police Department in June of 1978, when Lamor Whitehead was just 6 weeks old. And then they put in the footnote, a father was choked to death by the NYPD 42 years ago. His family never recovered. So they got articles. He said it started out like an obituary. Georgia said the same thing. Lolisa, get your brother. Go get your brother. Lolisa. One thing he gonna do is talk about Mr. Arthur Miller. I wish I would have known Arthur Miller because he's that guy. I feel like I missed out. Work in progress said, is Arthur Miller on his birth certificate? If not, that's his alleged father. I'm just telling you what the man said in the brief. That's all I'm saying. Elite Leo said Whitehead wouldn't take the DNA test. He didn't tell the court that. He just said that's his daddy. One thing for certain, his DNA test is on file with the state from the first case. I'm sure he had to submit, and he had to submit it this time. Yeah. Pretty Patty said, I was waiting on the part about his dad. You knew it was coming. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what Arthur Miller said in his will. What'd he say, Lolisa? What'd he say in his will? I dropped the link. We want to know what did the will say, sis? Thais said he went to Booker T. Washington Elementary and gave his life to Christ at the early age. I can't stand y'all. Read, Pam. Let me read like I'm in church. So we read about, there's articles in a footnote if you guys want to look up Arthur Miller. Reports from the time stated that Arthur Miller was attacked and beaten by 16 police officers, one of whom choked him to death with the nightstick. You know what would be nice when they were doing those look back statutes for assault and all of that stuff? It would have been nice if they did that for these type of 1983 cases where you can do a look back before they would give Black people the opportunity to sue officers in court. And then you guys could have got some money off of this. That's what they should have did when they were doing the stuff to try to get Diddy in them. Well, it wasn't really made for Diddy. It was made actually for correction. It was more correction officers and Rikers that were being sued for SA and all of that. But that would have been something, because that's kind of jacked up not to be able to get anything from this type of behavior. Reports from the time stated that Arthur Miller was attacked and beaten by 16 police officers, one of whom choked him to death with a nightstick. Arthur Miller was a beloved activist in his community who had founded the 4 Block Association, a group that received a federal grant to hire local residents as trained neighborhood watch. Current New York City Mayor Eric Adams stated in 2020 that, quote, Mr. Miller's death really started a tidal wave of energy around Black activism, end quote. In 2014, then Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams declared in, quote, Arthur Miller Day in Brooklyn to celebrate Mr. Whitehead's father and his works in the community. It should be noted that statistically, when Lamor Whitehead lost his father, he became 279% more likely to carry a gun and twice as likely to end up in prison. And then it has where they got that statistic from. Oh my gosh. I'm not keeping a straight face. I thought I was. No. Okay. Sorry. Yes, they did have an auction for his house. I talked about that in the membership. His house was sold on the 31st. Wayman is about Lamor or Mr. Arthur Miller. Arthur Miller makes him seem legitimize him, I guess. You know, he wants to piggyback off of his success on what he did, even though he didn't know him, wasn't around him, he didn't raise him. So it wasn't even like you have any type of memory, just even assuming that it was your father. You literally have no memory of this man or have seen him do his activism or his work. You're just like, I want to piggyback off of it. And because of what my mama said, because allegedly, I guess his mother is the one that told him that this was his father. But they say, according to statistics, when his father died, he was 279% more likely to carry a gun and twice as likely to end up in prison. Let's go further. Lamor Whitehead has 3 maternal half siblings. Chrison, who is 856, who resides in New Jersey. She's a registered nurse. Derek, who is 40, who resides in Springfield and owns a juice bar. And Dwayne, who died in 81 at the age of 10 when he was crushed by a truck while playing in a junkyard. Mr. Whitehead has a number of paternal half siblings. Oh, Lolisa, y'all don't get no names. You see how he played y'all? He didn't put your name on here. It just says Mr. Whitehead has a number of paternal half siblings. He named his mamas. How do you feel, Lolisa? Do you feel bad about that? Lolisa says she's hurt. I'm not doing this with you guys today. Oh my gosh. Tracy said it's because he don't know them people's name. Okay. Lamor Whitehead has 2 children from a prior relationship. Aisha, The two children's names are Jaden, who's 16 and in high school on the varsity basketball team, and Soraya, who is 9 years old and is a student. She is additionally enrolled in dance school. So those are the kids of which thousands of dollars of child support are owed, for those of you that did not know. According to the reports that we read. Okay. In 2019, Lamor Whitehead married Asia Whitehead, Dorsey's. They have one child together, 2-year-old Brooklyn Whitehead. Additionally, Mr. Whitehead helps raise Mrs. Whitehead's child from a prior relationship, 16-year-old Heaven Dorsey's. Heaven has graduated early from high school and plans on going to college. Shout out to Heaven. That's good. 16? That's pretty good. This case comes at a time in his children's social and emotional development where they are particularly in need of their father. Lamor Whitehead grew up in a poor household in Crown Heights, a rough neighborhood. Without his father, Lamar's mother did the best that she could to support the family, but they needed public assistance programs and food stamps just to get by. Lamor Whitehead's neighborhood was quite rough when he grew up. Even from a young age, it was common to see violence and crime occurring all around him. Lamor Whitehead's maternal grandmother, Mary Whitehead, was an integral part of his upbringing. Lamor's grandmother, who he described as his best friend, passed away December of 2023 at the age of 108. Lamor's uncle Robert and Lavelle were important figures in his life, both military veterans. Thank you for your service. They did their best to instill a sense of discipline and to fill the void left by his father's tragic and senseless murder at the hands of the NYPD. Life in a big house. I bet he found a way to make a reality show there, since he's such an attention seeker. I don't think they care about his little bio. You said, Cynthia says she hears violins while I'm reading. Dee Dee said I'm reading it like I'm reading a fairy tale. I'm reading it as it says. I'm reading it just like they're said. Cheryl, thank you for the super chat. That is so kind of you. I'm up here working. You see all of this information that I am presenting to you guys on this fine Tuesday. Not passive. All right, guys, we got some things to get through. While Lamor Whitehead never got to know his father, he did inherit his love for Brooklyn and his community, organizing outreach efforts through his church. Mr. Whitehead was one of the first faith leaders to become involved with the NYPD's ceasefire program, which seeks to reach out to individuals at high risk of being the victims or perpetrators of violence to help keep young New Yorkers safe while avoiding criminal charges. Also known as the Group Violence Intervention, GVI program, ceasefire is an evidence-based approach to reducing violence. A core part of that approach is community members with moral authority delivering a credible message against violence through face-to-face meetings. Individuals such as Mr. Whitehead are essential to the three-pronged approach ceasefire uses and to the reduction in violence that have followed the implementation of these programs. Mr. Whitehead worked with ceasefire throughout Brooklyn, including in the 75, 77, 79 precincts, Police Service Area 2, PSA 3, Bushwick, or am I saying that right? Bushwick, and the Marcy projects to help keep Brooklyn and Brooklynites safe. He additionally has worked on gun buyback programs and numerous other community initiatives. These include the 2014 A Night of Worship to Save Our Youth rally at Barclays Center, the before and after makers for teens and domestic violence victims, and Battered to Beautiful, a domestic violence survivor event hosted at Brooklyn's Borough Hall with then Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. And then he got links to this stuff. In September of 2023, Mr. Whitehead and his church spent $25,000 on buying school supplies for less fortunate children. You guys seen my last video where I talked about, well, probably not my last one, but around that time, of which he gave $25,000 worth of gift cards to the people over there at Cookies. And I said, if he owed me thousands of dollars in child support, I would have been up in that line. And as he gave the people the cards, I probably would have been like, thank you, ma'am, that belongs to me. Thank you, ma'am, that card belongs to me. Bless you, bless you, bless you. That card belongs to me, ma'am. I'm sorry. But yes, that is, he talks about the $25,000. He said around Thanksgiving of 2022, Mr. Whitehead and his church helped those in need in the Bronx, going to a grocery store in a poor area and paying for everyone's Thanksgiving dinner meal, donating over $20,000. Mr. Whitehead and his church have done similar acts on prior Thanksgivings, doing turkey giveaways so everyone can have turkey dinner on Thanksgiving and around Christmas, buying toys for poor children so that they can wake up to a present from Santa Claus under the tree on Christmas morning. Videos on YouTube and Facebook document a number of the events, including the 2014 toy giveaway at PS 191, the 2022 back to school giveaway at Cookies. Yep, we saw that. We did see that, Judge. The 2013 Leaders of Tomorrow turkey giveaway, his speech at Battered to Beautiful, and more. So then they have the links on there. Judge, I think you really should look at that Cookies. I think the judge really should look at the Cookies video to see all of the pomp and circumstance, pull it up in the drop top, and then having the pictures. Because see, if I need $25,000 because I'm poor or in the poor community, I don't think I want my face all over the internet. But see, the Bible says that when you give, you're supposed to do it in secret. And the Lord will reward you openly. And you know what? That's because when you do it the way Whitehead does it, you're getting. So just soak it all in. Take all the praise that you need, because that's all you're going to get. That's all you get. Now that's Bible, Chief Apostle. Let's go on. Lamor Whitehead has additionally created a number of initiatives to offer children mentoring opportunities and the ability to look at potential future employment. He began one initiative that partnered with restaurants to help children by teaching them to cook once home economic courses were removed from most school curriculums. He began another with the NYPD to help children foster positive relationships with police and end the cycle of violence. Yet another was done with hospitals to allow children to shadow medical professionals and doctors to help inspire them to pursue careers in medicine. Another brought kids to tapings of the Black Entertainment Television Network shows 106 in Park, a music show to allow children to be exposed to the opportunities that can exist in the entertainment industry as well. Lamor Whitehead graduated from Sheepshed. What is the name of this school? Somebody pronounce that for me in the chat. Bay High School, where he was a star point guard on the basketball team. Y'all didn't even know. This man's up here with Kobe and LeBron and all of them on the basketball team, okay? Did y'all know that? Did y'all know he was a star point guard on the basketball team? I wonder how many championships he won. Y'all just putting the same. Oh, Sheephead Bay. Oh, okay. Is that real? Or are you guys just like having me look even crazier than what I sounded like when I try to pronounce it? No, sheep shed. Okay. That's what Leslie said. Thank you so much for helping me with my pronunciation. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's go on. Read. So he was a basketball star. After graduating high school, Mr. Whitehead attended Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina, on a basketball scholarship. Shaw University was the second historically Black college and university established in southern United States. In 1998, Mr. Whitehead transferred to Eastern New Mexico University in New Mexico, also on a basketball scholarship. Now, there was a case over there in New Mexico that we talked about as well, where it seems like a lot of this stuff began, of which I think he paid some money back or something. They may have dropped it, but yeah, there were some issues over there in New Mexico as well. Mr. Whitehead left ENMU when he injured his knee. I can't take it. He injured his knee and transferred to Farmingdale State College in New York again on a basketball scholarship. This dude is a whole basketball star, and we didn't even know it. Mr. Whitehead ceased his studies at Farmingdale after an on-campus incident where he was attacked with a knife, suffering serious injuries. I'm sorry, Miss Pam. You are incorrect. The Bible only says, touch not my anointed. No other verses is in it. Okay. My bad. Thank you so much, Work in Progress, for the super chat. Child, he just Kobe Jr. Let's go on. While incarcerated on a case out of Suffolk County, Mr. Whitehead, who had always been a man of faith, dedicated his life to being a man of God, completing the Rising Hope Theology Seminary. Let's see what this footnote says. Mr. Whitehead has insisted that those convictions were erroneous and challenged them in court. The sentence for that matter was modified as a result of a successful appeal, resulting in Mr. Whitehead being released before the appellate process could finish. Additionally, New York State's Clean Slate Act, which became law last year, will likely result in the automatic sealing of this conviction when that act goes into effect in November of this year. Really? Will that automatically be sealed if you get convicted of something else? Or maybe because it's federal court, you're saying it's, I don't know. I have to look at that Clean Slate Act. That's interesting. Yes. So he got his, dedicated his life to being a man of God and completing the Rising Hope Theology Seminary. So was that in jail? Was the seminary in jail? Is that what he's saying? When he was released, yeah, I guess so. Okay, I guess I need to just read further. When he was released, Mr. Whitehead founded the Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry with the goal of building a modern church community that helps to do good works in the community. Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry seeks to bridge the gap between the church, youth, politics, and the justice system. Numerous judges in Manhattan and Brooklyn have allowed individuals who had community service as a part of a sentence of diversionary program to complete that community service with Mr. Whitehead's church to avoid jail time. Mr. Whitehead has additionally donated his money and time to a number of homeless and battered women's shelter throughout Brooklyn and has had his church conduct outreach and charity programs at those shelters. How in the world Are you doing all of this and owe thousands of dollars in child support? I just keep getting back to point A. Mr. Whitehead additionally gained enough signatures to get on the ballot in the 2021 primary for Brooklyn Borough President. However, he did come last, okay? We're going to take that out, I guess. He did come last, and he lost. Lamor Whitehead is a licensed New York State chaplain and certified marriage and funeral officiant. He was first ordained as a minister in 2006 by Bishop Albert Jameson. Bishop Albert Jameson is the one that ordained him back in 2006. That was what, right before he went to jail? Or that right after he got out of jail? Before, after. I can't remember. Of Pleasant Grove Baptist Church. In 2014, Mr. Whitehead was ordained as a pastor and bishop. Okay, but you're not going to tell us who ordained you as a bishop and a pastor? Oh, he skipped that too. He skipped that like he skipped Lolisa now. You see how he skipped over that? We've been trying to figure out who ordained him. We were that close, and he skipped over that like he did Lolisa's side of the family. He used Arthur Miller's name for that too. See how that worked out? Oh, we got another bishop that's gonna have to come to the front of the congregation. But we're gonna see. Okay. So in 2014, Mr. Whitehead was ordained as a pastor and a bishop. Mr. Whitehead founded his church, Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry, in 2013 with a group of 43 people who were meeting for Bible study. Mr. Whitehead felt that he had the ability to help people obtain spiritual liberty, educational development, and economic awareness while pursuing positive changes in their life. Mr. Whitehead focuses on helping his congregants empower themselves. Mr. Whitehead helped with numerous Stop the Violence initiatives for at-risk youth, and other community improvement efforts. Through this work, Mr. Whitehead has received a number of awards and citations. These include a certificate of ordination, certificate of marriage officiant registration, certificate of ordination as an elder of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I know he was an elder first. A certificate granting him the rank of presiding bishop. But what are you presiding over exactly? And another granting him the rank of chief apostle. Mr. Whitehead also received numerous citations for his good works in the community from state legislators, state senators, city council members, Mayor Eric Adams, and more. The letters of character included with this motion, we have those too, illustrate that Lamor Whitehead is a valued member of his community who poses no risk to the community, nor appreciable risk of reoffending. Yvette is a member of Mr. Whitehead's congregation. She speaks about how Mr. Whitehead's sermons have helped her deal with post-traumatic stress disorder Miss Yvette has suffered since being injured while working as a rescue worker on September 11th. Miss Anisha is a longtime friend. She states that Whitehead is a kind and helpful human being with a heart of gold who will give you the clothes off of his back. Jules, a member of the congregation, states that Mr. Whitehead is a well-mannered gentleman who has worked to do good works in his community. Mac and Texaria, they state that Lamor Whitehead is reliable, generous, compassionate, trustworthy, kind, and above all, a person of integrity. They speak of how Lamor Whitehead was there for them when Miss Jackson had to undergo an emergency radical nephrectomy, the kidney removal, for kidney cancer. We have a Miss Crawford who says that Whitehead is a man of exceptional character with an unwavering dedication to his community. We have a Miss Wilson, a pastor at Mr. Whitehead's church, who speaks about how Whitehead has constantly displayed qualities like positive energy, honesty, kindness, and a strong work ethic, and how he is always willing to help those in need. We have a Mr. Bruton, speaks of how Whitehead is dedicated to giving back to the community. Someone else with a long last name speaks about how Whitehead helped her when she was in need, giving her money for groceries when the fridge was empty, and helped her when she was in an abusive relationship. Aaron states that Whitehead is a truthful and trustworthy man of integrity and honor. Duke Crepin states that Whitehead, whom she has known for more than 25 years, is a leader that cares about his community and has worked tirelessly to help his community, from organizing food drives to youth membership to initiatives to support the homeless. Then we got Bishop Darrell L. Hill. Some of y'all, this was y'all pastor. You guys said it in the membership that this was y'all pastor, and it used to be your pastor. I don't think he's your pastor anymore. But yes, he now before. Y'all remember this when he was just on there with Jamal Bryant. And when he talked to Jamal Bryant, he said Jamal Bryant was the only pastor that supported him publicly.
Y'all, thank you for showing all the love.
See that? That was Jamal said, "Thank you, Pastor Jamal Bryant. Great interview. Go check it out." And he says there that he is the only one on his Instagram that supported him publicly. Well, it looks like there is a bishop or the senior pastor of the Powerhouse Church who states that Lamor Whitehead is a man of great moral character who has demonstrated unwavering integrity, compassion, and dedication to serving his community. Let's move on. Lamor Whitehead has no history of substance use or abuse. I have heard that. He was a star athlete when younger. I never heard that, but we learn something new every day, and did not want to take any substance that could cloud his mind or impact his play. Mr. Whitehead has reported mental health struggles in the past. The instant case has been a significant stressor. Additionally, Mr. Whitehead likely has PTSD as a result of being robbed at gunpoint on live stream. This is how we learned who Whitehead was. Well, a lot of us did. On July 24th, 2022, three armed individuals, Saquon Pollack, Jawan Anderson, and Shamar Liggett, broke into Mr. Whitehead's church in Brooklyn during a service which was being live streamed. During this live stream broadcast worldwide, these three individuals robbed Mr. Whitehead and his wife at gunpoint. They pointed a gun in his face of Mrs. Whitehead and the Whitehead's daughter, who was only 8 months old at the time. After this incident, Mr. Whitehead and his family received threats on social media. Approximately 1 month later, an unknown individual actually came to Mr. Whitehead's home and attempted to enter the home. Shortly thereafter, Mrs. Whitehead moved herself and the children out of the home. As in the wake of the robbery, the threats, and the individuals trying to break in, Mrs. Whitehead felt unsafe. This incident has caused significant distress to Mr. Whitehead. So he's saying, for all you guys that said she was moving out because she was over it, he's saying she moved out because they had threats at the home, and that's why she left. Additionally, Mr. Whitehead was recommended to counseling as a child due to issues related to the death of his father, Arthur Miller, who was killed by the NYPD in June of 1978, just weeks after Mr. Whitehead was born. How much this would be missing if Arthur Miller was not a part of this, how much would be missing out of this memo? Mr. Whitehead has a scar from his neck to his abdomen as a result of being cut when an individual attacked him when he attended Farmingdale State College. The slash required 100 stitches. Oh my. Oh, then in the footnote, he does talk about the robbers. Mr. Pollack has pled guilty and is awaiting sentencing. Mr. Anderson's case remains pending. Mr. Leggett was unalived in late January in a shootout with federal marshals who were attempting to arrest him. I thought they both pled. Did something happen? Did something change? Have to look into it. Okay, harsh conditions. Now, this is the harsh conditions that he is enduring over there because, as you guys know, he was remanded. Under 18 U.S.C. 3553 sub A, the district court can consider harsh conditions of the defendant's pretrial confinement, which may merit mitigation. Numerous district courts have agreed that the Metropolitan Detention Center is a facility which is harsh and inhumane, and this warrants consideration for mitigation. The conditions in the MDC are shocking and unacceptable. So all of you guys that said that he was at the MDC, you guys were correct. Thank you so much for providing accurate information over here at the Intellects. We appreciate you. The Second Circuit has held that pre-sentencing confinement conditions may, in appropriate cases, be permissible basis for a downward departure. So then it gives you all of the different case law where the court took into consideration the conditions. Oh, somebody just mentioned Weinstein. Wait a minute. United States v. Speed. Judge. Oh, that's the judge. I thought they were talking about Weinstein. I'm sorry. Oh. The Supreme Court recognized that because pretrial confinement is an administrative as opposed to judicial form of detention, the confinement must not rise to the level of punishment or otherwise violate the constitutional rights of those detained. So there's some more case law. In Gaston v. Coughlin, the Second Circuit held that rodent-infested units and the presence of human waste in and around cells can constitute cruel and unusual punishment. Whoa, that's a problem because Fulton County is no joke over there. Former Eastern District of New York Chief Judge Jack Weinstein also determined that inhumane conditions and lengthy pre-sentence detention conditions can violate due process. The unusually harsh conditions at MDC deprive pretrial inmates of their constitutional rights and have not kept up with contemporary standards of decency. They represent substantially harsher conditions from those the defendant would have experienced if he had been designated to a federal prison camp or low security prison. In other words, during the period that the defendant has been incarcerated, he has been punished more than a similarly situated offender who serves the same time of detention at a minimum security prison. So then they talk about how they were highlighted by former Chief Judge of the Southern District of New York, Colleen McMahon. Okay. In May of 2021, the New York Post reported on a sentencing before the Honorable Judge J. Paul Oken, wherein Judge Oken likewise highlighted the brutal and inhumane conditions at these facilities, stating that the conditions were extraordinarily harsh and that the frequent lockdowns impose conditions that are basically like solitary confinement. Inmates have limited programming, next to no family visits, and severely limited ability to meet with lawyers. Judge Oken further stated that because it's been harsher than a usual period that is more punitive, that's essentially the equivalent of either time and a half or 2 times what would ordinarily be served. Okay, so we got a whole lot of case law and incidents that show that these are inhumane conditions over here at the jail. Simply put, the conditions that Lamor Whitehead has experienced since being remanded are unacceptable at even the best of times. The conditions that Mr. Whitehead and other inmates have described are deplorable, unacceptable, and shocking to the conscience. The MDC is frequently on lockdown, sometimes for more than a week at a time, On these occasions, inmates are confined to 6-foot by 10-foot cell with another individual for up to 24 hours a day. On weekends, inmates are frequently unable to leave their cells at all due to understaffing. These issues have persisted since Mr. Whitehead arrived at the MDC. He was locked down for 4 consecutive days almost immediately upon his arrival at the facility and unable to call anyone to coordinate getting his affairs in order. So when he first got there, for those of you that was wondering, it looks like he was on lockdown for 4 days. The MDC is dirty and inmates live in squalor. Due to the frequent lockdowns and the fact that the facility is overcrowded, social distancing is impossible if an inmate gets sick. During the fall and winter, it is cold in the facility and inmates are not given sufficiently warm clothes or blankets. Okay, but we're not in the fall or the winter, so I'm not sure. And he'll be out, like he's supposed to get sentenced in 2 weeks. Mr. Whitehead has not been provided a mattress. So he doesn't even have a mattress, guys, according to this sentencing. He doesn't even have a mattress. There is a lack of structure in the religious service department. There is a denial of religious services, and inmates are often unable to attend service due to understaffing. Mr. Whitehead has been denied religious services, as have numerous inmates. And the chaplain states that there are, in essence, no religious services in the MDC at this time. The medical department is understaffed, and those staff are not properly trained. It can take an inmate more than 1 month to see medical staff after making a sick call if they see medical staff at all. Most sick calls are dismissed with minimal inquiry. The dental department is understaffed and improperly trained. Dental calls can take months to be answered. What does that have to do with him, though? Am I missing something? I mean, that sounds like a general complaint that may be there, but I don't see what that has to do with him. There is a lack of programs and educational opportunities within the MDC. The maximum level of security is imposed on pretrial detainees. In addition, the facility and its conditions are shocking and unsanitary. In the MDC, there is no washing machine or dryer readily available. Inmates may only wash their clothes and exchange bedding once per week. Inmates have reported that during the lockdown, inmates have sometimes had to go weeks without being able to do laundry. As a result, they must wear dirty underwear and sleep on dirty bedding. Okay, we're talking about inmates. We want to know about him. Computer terminals are rarely cleaned due to limited cleaning supply access. Inmates are constantly in danger of transmitting diseases in shared areas. There are mice and rodents in and around inmate property. Rodents climb over inmates' clothing, belongings, and food, often leaving feces. Oh, that sounds disgusting. Cockroaches and other vermin infest the facility. Food is frequently swarmed by flies, and inmates have reported finding cockroaches in their food. The food served to inmates is often expired, many times for past the expiration date. Recently, the New York Daily News reported that food being served to inmates was often infested with maggots. In the weeks that Mr. Whitehead has been in the MDC, he has already lost over 5 pounds due to a lack of unspoiled and edible food. My. Oh my goodness. The sinks in most of the cells are broken. Toilet expel water onto the floor, leaving a foul odor and spreading bacteria. Toilets, which are broken, often remain unrepaired for substantial periods of time. Water is often shut off for hours at a time while inmates are locked in the cells. As a result, inmates cannot take a shower or wash their hands. Toilets frequently do not flush, requiring inmates to cover toilets with a towel to block the smell of urine and feet. Oh, God, Jesus. When they do flush, they may only flush twice every 45 minutes, which often requires inmates to deal with the smell of urine and feces even when toilets are working. This is horrible. My goodness. Jeff James talking about lies according to the MDC admission handbook. So Lisa, I cannot stand you. Okay. There have been numerous days where toilets were unusable due to plumbing issues. At times, when the water is turned off, inmates have been forced to urinate or defecate in buckets and bags. Cells have a contaminated odor of human waste and sewage. The odor causes nausea, discomfort, and vomiting. This odor makes it difficult for inmates to peacefully rest. It sounds like y'all need a class action or something. This sounds awful. I know this ain't supposed to be the Marriott, but good gosh. This is sounding like what they talk about over there in Fulton County. That's what I'm saying. Jet Black said he's good at lawsuits, sue the U.S. government for the conditions. That's what it sounds like, because honestly, he's talking more in this memo in general. It doesn't, very rarely is there a sentence that says what's pertaining to him. So he's lost weight because of the food. He doesn't have a mattress. But you can pick out the things that pertain to him. It sounds like a lot of this are consistent complaints with this location, probably for years. So there's articles being referenced. There's judges who have made statements related to it that probably somebody sued for cruel and unusual punishment. It's probably lawsuits. It's probably constitutional lawsuits that have been filed. But see, that's why the judge was like, do you want to move up your sentencing date? Because he would have had to been in there for about a month, but for them moving up the sentencing date. So now he's just in there for 3 weeks, as opposed to being in there for a little bit over a month. You know what the GOAT experience says, sounds like hell, repent. Toria said, Pam, this is the jails across the country. He has to sue the jails. It's jails. He should kept his mouth shut, and he would not have been there. He would have been at it would have been his house, because that's gone. Well, showers are consistently without regulators and or shower heads. Floors in the showers are damaged. They have sharp edges and mold. Shower curtains are rarely replaced or washed and are usually torn and covered in mildew. Tattered shower curtains allow water to splash on the floor outside the showers, causing the floor within to be slippery and dangerous. Water temperature is generally uncontrollable, on occasion exceeding 170 degrees Fahrenheit. These excessive temperatures have caused burns on several occasions. Like what? 170 degrees? Okay, so then at the footnote, they have John Anise maggot-infested meals being served to inmates at Brooklyn Federal Jail, lawyers say. And that was March 30th of 2024. So yeah, a lot of this stuff she's just getting from reports. There is a lack of cleaning and hygiene supplies. Inmates are forced to purchase bars of soap to wash their hands. Toilet paper is supposed to be issued once a week, but there have been instances where weeks have gone by without the issuance of toilet paper. Cleaning supplies are rarely issued for in-cell use, and those that are issued are of poor quality. Spray bottles are rarely operable, and cleaning solutions appear to be diluted. Gloves are not provided for cleaning the bathrooms, forcing inmates attempting to maintain a clean living environment to touch human waste with their bare hands. Spills and flooding are cleaned up, and blankets and jumpsuits that staff then require inmates to use. There are no means of ventilation in the bathroom. Due to the lack of ventilation, condensation builds up on the ceiling and drops down into the clothes and inmates alike. The MDC has an ineffective and damaged ventilation and duct systems, limiting free flow of clean air. Vent covers are caked with dust and grime. Dust frequently falls onto inmates and their food when in common areas. Poor ventilation significantly increases the transmittability of respiratory viruses such as COVID-19. Barbers do not have proper training and practice unsanitary work habits. Inmates have complained of being cut while receiving haircuts, and that barbers leave blood and skin particles between clippers and blade. Oh, I would have an afro. That is not a necessity. I would have no. You guys are sharing clippers and they're cutting people, and skin is still. Oh God. Cupcake said I'd have dreads. Girl, you and me both. They say you're nasty, say you're in prison. Well, he's in jail. This is just the holding facility. You know, federal court, they have a lot of camps. Like it's different for the most part from what I heard now. It's different than state prison or even just the holding part of jail. Ain't no way in the world that they would be cutting my hair with them type of conditions. Blood and skin particles between clippers and blades. Living conditions in the MDC are unsafe and unacceptable. Cells housing 2 inmates on a more than temporary basis measure a mere 44 square foot. Elevators are unstable and constantly in need of repair. Electrical outlets and wiring are damaged or non-functional. Inmates are afforded only one light and a thin blanket, even on the coldest of days or when the air conditioner is on full blast. I'm gonna go out on the limb and say she's written that this has been written before about this place, and so a lot of this stuff is just things that people have complained about, because all this stuff talking about blankets and winter time and all of that, and we are clearly in the summer now. Likewise, there are issues with staffing. During the morning and afternoon hours, there have been occasions where just one correction officer is responsible for 96 inmates. It is reported that counselors knowingly allow bullying and harassment within the population. Correctional officers make vulgar comments, including the use of racial slurs, fostering an unsafe and volatile environment. In November of 2023, so basically before he got there, as Judge Furman stated in Chavez, it appeared that the facility was only at 55% of its full staffing level. There is no duress alarm system in areas without consistent staff coverage, in violation of policy statement 1600.06. Almost as soon as Mr. Whitehead entered the facility, it went on lockdown as a loaded and operable firearm was found in an inmate cell. Get out of here. Whitehead been going through it. Such an incident shows that the staff are either incompetent or complicit in the introduction of dangerous contraband, including weapons and drugs, into the facility. Counsel believes that these facts regarding the shocking and inhumane conditions at the MDC warrant mitigation. On these grounds, it is respectfully requested that the defendant's harsh pre-sentence confinement be taken into consideration pursuant to 18 U.S.C. It has been reported that the MDC failed a recent inspection. The conditions of confinement warrant mitigation and create extraordinary circumstances such that Mr. Whitehead be granted release pending appeal. So now he is asking that while his appeal goes before the Court of Appeals, that he not have to, that he can be out on bond while his appeal is pending. So while he goes through his appellate process, he wants to be out because he's already, the judge pretty much has already said that his request for a new trial would be denied, wouldn't be successful, is what she said, which was part of the motion to remand when she made that consideration. Motion for bail pending appeal. The defendant additionally moves separately, but as part of this filing for bail pending appeal, 18 U.S.C. Section 3143 states that a person who has been found guilty and sentenced to a term of prison shall be detained unless there is clear and convincing evidence that the person is not likely to flee or pose a danger to the safety of any other person in the community, that the appeal is not for the purpose of delay and raises a, quote, substantial question of law or a fact likely to be successful. This is accepting those who have been found guilty of a violent offense, which the court determined that Mr. Whitehead was here. However, the condition of confinement are extraordinary reason which warrant release. There are such substantial questions here. The Second Circuit stated that the phrase "a substantial question of law or fact likely to result in reversal or in order for a new trial cannot reasonably be construed to require the district court to predict the probability of reversal." They're going to go through all of that, basically saying that, you know, they should get bail pending the appeal. So this is the sentencing request. Based on the factors set forth above, I ask that this court sentence Lamor Whitehead, not Lamar Miller Whitehead, Lamar Whitehead, to a sentence of supervised release. While below the recommendation of probation, this sentence is appropriate, given the history and character of the defendant, as well as the nature and circumstances of the offense. (18 U.S.C. Section 3553 states that the court shall consider the nature and circumstances of the offense, as well as the history and character of the defendant. These factors warrant mitigation. Mr. Whitehead has been a pillar of his community for years through his work with the church and his charitable works in the community. Lamor Whitehead's prior criminal record consists of conviction from almost 20 years ago, the majority of which received 0 criminal history points due to their age. Lamor Whitehead poses no serious risk of reoffending. Additionally, the significant media attention in this case shows that the requested sentence is appropriate. The first thing anyone sees when they look up Mr. Whitehead's name is press about this case. This renders Mr. Whitehead essentially incapable of working in any kind of public-facing or investing role, depriving him of a source of income which he had for close to 20 years. This case will follow Mr. Whitehead forever in a way which a case without such press attention would not. Mr. Whitehead came to us, okay? Let's just start with that. He started with the press conferences. We didn't know who this man was. I would have never talked about him. But then he came with the press conferences. Then the reporter said, well, what about the lady that you allegedly took $90,000 from? We went to your house and we saw a post that you had a foreclosure over there in Connecticut. What about this businessman? What about what? That's all they cared about at the press conference. And so I, being, you know, the person that I am, the interested person in the legal aspects of it, I looked it all up. And then that's what started this. But you came to us. Then he did like a few other press conferences. Like everything that he did, he tried to do press conferences. He availed himself to the media. Like he liked the attention. And then once you get it, now it's like, oh, because the media, now I can never have the same life that I had before. Nicole said this sounds like a Tubi movie plot. He absolutely wanted to be famous, even though, you know, he's infamous. He wanted to be famous. And he got what he asked for. Lolisa said, I wouldn't have known him either until he tried to extort us. Oh my goodness. Okay, Lolisa. My. Lolisa, have you ever talked to his mom? Did you guys ever have a conversation? Or anybody on his side of the family? Is he supposed to be the only one that's the kid? Because he got other brothers and sisters, right? So is he supposed to be the only kid that your daddy is his daddy? This is just real interesting because literally he talked about this all up and through this sentencing memo. I mean, he tried to talk about it at the trial. He tried to bring it up, but the government wasn't having it. They were not having it. Nope. Okay. Okay, let's go on. Seriousness of the offense, conduct, promotion of respect for law, provision of just punishment. 18 U.S.C. sections 3553 sub A2 sub capital A states that a sentence imposed shall reflect the seriousness of the offense, conduct, promote respect for the law, and provide just punishment. While below the guideline range, the requested sentence is far from trivial. As discussed, the guideline range is driven by a loss amount far beyond the actual loss in this case. Additionally, the requested sentence is appropriate given the media around this case. No individual would look at this situation Mr. Whitehead finds himself in, including having his public image disseminated in the press, as anything less than severe. What? So because he in the press that he put himself in, it should be mitigated? Is that the argument? Okay, you thrust yourself in the limelight. You jump on podcasts. You start your own podcast. You do press conferences. And then you blame the media for following a case that you pretty much started when you got robbed, and you did a whole video and then started talking about it. You were on CNN. He was on all these national networks. Then you decide, I'm going to do a press conference so I can ask all of the pastors to come and stand before us because they can't come in robbing churches. And even though you stood solo, because not one pastor supported you out there, not one that I saw. None of the reporters cared about the robbery. They didn't want to ask any questions. All their questions was about what's up with Pauline Anderson? What's up with this property? What about the other judgments? He had judgments against him from other incidents that were entered in, that he had judgments against him. That's what they cared about. What did Eric Adams have to say? They were trying to pull Eric Adams in there and all of that. When Eric Adams would talk, the same thing happened. They would try to ask him about Whitehead. You, sir, made the media talk about you. And then just because we continued or you didn't like what we said, and all of a sudden it's somehow you need mitigation, I cut it out. Thank you, Hope, for becoming a member. Welcome to the Intellects. It's crazy. Multiple press conference. Audacity to Hope. We're going to pull up the letters that were filed. And no, there was none from the wife. Additionally, were Mr. Whitehead to reoffend, he would be subject to a violation of supervised release proceeding, which will result in significant prison time. This is a significant sentence, especially combined with the restrictive conditions of supervised release. Okay, wait a minute. Let me go back. I should have read up here. Sorry. Additionally, the requested sentence is appropriate given the media around the case. No individual would look at the situation Mr. Whitehead finds himself in, including having his public image decimated in the press, as anything less than severe. The requested sentence would be just punishment for Mr. Whitehead, which in turn promotes respect for the law. The exercise of mercy, when warranted, as in this case, is core to the law being viewed as an instrument worthy of respect. Additionally, were Mr. Whitehead to reoffend, it would be subject to a violation of supervised release, proceeding which would result in significant prison time. This is a significant sentence, especially combined with the restrictive conditions of supervised release. These conditions include that Mr. Whitehead be unable to incur new credit charges or open lines of credit without permission, as well as submitting himself any property, papers, or electronic device or communications to a search at essentially any time. So they're saying if the judge would be so kind, or the court would be so kind as to sentence him to supervised release, basically he would have conditions, and these conditions would include that Mr. Whitehead could not incur new credit charges or open lines of credit without permission, as well as submitting himself any property, papers, or electronic device to a search. So basically how people have random drug drops and tests, he could have random electronic searches to see what are you doing on your computers. Let me see those papers. And they can look through your stuff. That's what he's saying. Affording adequate deterrence to criminal conduct. Under 18 U.S.C. Section 3553, a sentence must provide adequate deterrence to criminal conduct. Mr. Whitehead desires to use his trying time to better himself and find a way to move forward through this trying time. This understanding and desire shows that a sentence of supervised release does not provide adequate deterrence. Or does, I say it does not, but it does say does provide adequate deterrence. The impact this conduct has had on Mr. Whitehead shows that the requested sentence is appropriate. Any individual who were to look at the position Mr. Whitehead finds himself in would certainly consider that a deterrent. Protecting the public from further crimes by the defendant. So these are all of the prongs that you would look at, the court will look at in making this decision. The sentencing judge must take into account the need for a sentence imposed to protect the public from further crimes by the defendant. There is no appreciable risk of further criminal conduct by the defendant, who has spent the past decade as a pillar of his community doing charity work. While Mr. Whitehead has a criminal history category of 2, it should be noted that these convictions are quite remote in time, almost 20 years old, and there are significant legal issues with those convictions. Provisions of needed education or vocational training, medical care, other correctional treatment. These needs are best served by supervised release. The correctional treatment and rehab of Mr. Whitehead is best served by letting him return to the community and continue his good works in this community and his church. A sentence of supervised release would serve to provide correctional treatment in the most effective manner under these circumstances. The kinds of sentencing available. Regarding 18 U.S.C., there is no prohibition on a sentence of supervised release. The sub G, kinds of sentencing range. The guideline range for this case, as calculated by probation, is 121 to 151 months, while probation calculated a different guideline range from the defense. Supervised release is an appropriate sentence for the reasons discussed above. As a result, the requested sentence would not be prohibited by 18 U.S.C. Sections 3553A4A. This is not a case regarding a violation of probation or supervised release. Does not apply. Pertinent policy statement. Counsel has not uncovered any applicable policy statements under 18 U.S.C. 3553 that would impact the requested sentence. Avoidance of unwarranted sentencing disparities. The requested sentence is warranted in this case and therefore avoids any unwarranted sentencing disparities as contemplated by the statute. According to the Sentencing Commission's data analyzer between 2015 and 2023, there were 184 individuals in criminal history category 2 sentenced in the Southern District of New York for fraud offenses, primarily under USSG Section 2B1.1. The average sentence length was 24 months. Importantly, only 4 individuals, just 2.2%, received a sentence of over 10 years in prison. A guideline sentence here would be rare. A sentence in line with the government's letter would be unique. The analysis of sentencing data by probation carries a higher average and median sentence due to its consideration of the inflated intended loss amount. The analysis undertaken here is more appropriate in this case as the actual loss amount is $85K, significantly less than that of probation. It should also be noted that reporting on the change of plea hearing for the individuals who robbed Mr. Whitehead indicates that those individual plea agreements have a guideline range of around 7 years or 84 months. Probation's requested sentence in this case will result in Mr. Whitehead doing more than the individuals who robbed him, his wife, his daughter, and his church at gunpoint on live stream. So basically now they're arguing that we'll judge. Remember how Whitehead was the victim of being robbed on live stream? They only got 7 years. So you're trying to give him more than the people that robbed him. Is that an argument? I guess. Okay. All right, defense. Go ahead and defend. Restitution. 18 U.S.C. Section 3553 requires the court to consider the need to provide restitution, assuming the court orders restitution the amount requested by probation, allowing Mr. Whitehead to return to the community and find gainful employment will allow him to best make restitution. In conclusion, we strive to strike a balance between the interests of society and the rights of the individuals. Each case is different. Congress has made it clear that we are not to function as machines in purely technical terms. We respectfully ask this honorable court to see this defendant in individual terms, human terms, and sentence him accordingly when the nature and character of Lamor Whitehead is taken into account, along with the sentencing factors and the pre-sentencing report. To the degree it is considered, it becomes evident that a sentence of supervised release is fitting for the seriousness of the crime and is also consistent with 18 U.S.C. Section 3553 sub A, which calls for a sentence sufficient but not greater than necessary. So there you guys have it. That is the argument for supervised release of Whitehead. In about a week and a half, we will have the government's response, of which we will see. Yeah, they said gainful employment, which is very interesting because when he went to pretrial services, he said he didn't have a job. So if you weren't trying to work to pay this stuff before, why is the court supposed to automatically think, oh, well, this time if we just let him, you had 2 years. Man, I'd have been trying to pay this lady back in the doggone civil case. Like, when I took the stand, listen, I paid Miss Pauline back. I gave her the $85,000. I didn't take no, I gave her interest. I done paid the lady back $100,000. But nope. Didn't do it. Didn't do none of it. And so let me see some of these. Let's see what the pastor had to say. So on April 24th, the pastor, Bishop Darrell Hill, said, "Dear Honorable Judge, I'm writing to you in support of Bishop Lamor M. Whitehead, whom I have known for many years. Throughout our interactions, Bishop Whitehead has consistently demonstrated unwavering integrity, compassion, and dedication to serving his community. As a pastor, Bishop Whitehead has shown immense care and support for those in need. offering guidance and comfort in times of hardship. His leadership within his congregation has brought about positive change and unity among his members. I believe that Bishop Whitehead is a man of great moral character and upstanding reputation. I have full confidence in his ability to continue serving his community with grace and humility. I trust that he will uphold the values of honesty and righteousness in all aspects of his life. I respectfully request that you consider this letter as a testament to Bishop Whitehead's character and ask for leniency in any proceeding involving him. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm just telling you what the man of God said, okay? That's what the man of God said. So then we have a few more letters. Let's see. Let me make sure. I don't know if they got addresses on them. Let me see. No, they didn't put addresses. I would think they would take them off of here. So let's see what some of these people had to say. I served, this is from Yvette. I served as a 9/11 World Trade Center rescue worker facing numerous medical challenges as a result. I have dedicated over 20 years of my life to serving our city. I am writing this letter in support of Bishop Whitehead. I have been following him on all his social media platforms because for many years I have been seeking a clear understanding of the Word of God. Due to my injuries from the World Trade Center, which have left me with PTSD, I have struggled to find solace. When I listen to Bishop Whitehead's word on Sunday mornings and engage in worship throughout the week, it uplifts me and instills hope that everything will be all right. It deeply saddens me to hear that he is facing challenges, especially when we already have so many Black males incarcerated, separated from their family and loved ones. Losing access to his messages, which often feel personally directed towards me, would not only be a loss for his family, but also for the parishioners who eagerly await the word of God on Sunday morning. Thank you for allowing me to share this character letter, and I sincerely pray that God grants Bishop Whitehead the opportunity to continue guiding us closer to God's path without facing any time in jail. Okay, let's do one more. I'm not gonna read all these, but let me tell you how many that it is. Let's do that. Because you guys keep asking that question. So I don't know if anybody, people can come and speak personally if the judge allows. People may come in person and say something, but according to what was filed, we had the pastor the bishop we just read. We have this lady Yvette. We have Anisha. She has something to say. We have JL. We have Aaron. We have Stoldia. We have Vaughn. We have a Jules. Some of the Jacksons. Chantel. There's a Crawford. And that is it. That is what was attached. And, those were pretty much the names that were named within the sentencing memo. And so what I will say is I am so used to having 40 or 50 character letters that I was like, oh, okay, I guess. Yeah. So I don't see any family. Lolisa, you did not turn anything in to help with the character. But I don't see any family members. I don't see his wife. And a lot of things are the same for basically either they're church people, they say they know him somehow through church, or one of the ladies was a pastor. She said she was a pastor at the church. So this person was a member at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries under leadership of Chief Apostle Bishop Lamor Whitehead for the last 5 years. As someone who has had the opportunity to watch Bishop throughout the years operate in his office as Bishop and now Chief Apostle, it pains me to see the scrutiny he endures day in and day out in the eyes of the media and the world. The guilty verdict he received was not a representation of who this man of God is to his church, family, friends, and to the world. Many people have questioned the character and the integrity of Bishop Lamor Whitehead on the basis of what has been presented. In this moment, I would love to share the impact that Chief Apostle has made and continues to make on my life and my family's life. Bishop has saved my children and eyes life countless times, almost too much to count. Wait a minute, let me share this. I knew I shouldn't have started reading these. Now I'm all trying to. She said, Bishop had saved my children and I's life countless times, almost too much to count. I am a mother of 2 young boys, ages 4 and 5. I was out of work and in a verbally and physically abusive relationship with my children's father, who also did not work. An unimaginable weight rested on my shoulders. I was spiritually immature, doubted, lacked vision and self-worth. I was timid, anxious, self-conscious, and depressed. I struggled in every area and aspect of my life. I was completely lost and had no hope for the future for myself and my children. True happiness seemed unattainable. In John 4:8, it states, quote, he who does not love does not know God, for God is love, end quote. There has not been one time that I have not called Bishop for guidance that he did not deliver. His love for God is extraordinary, and the way he loves his leaders, friends, family, and the members of the church is unmatched. Bishop is known for random FaceTime calls to, quote, check in on the staff and members to make sure we are doing okay. I can vividly remember the times my fridge was empty, not knowing where the next meal was going to come from, and then receiving a random FaceTime call from Bishop to check in. Shortly after, I would find grocery money sitting in my cash app to feed my family. That's nice. This is one example among many examples. It was never been in Bishop's nature to see those he loved struggling and not do something about it. Bishop has counseled me through my darkest times and seasons, and the Lord has used him and continues to use him to deliver me from everything that has held me in chains to reach my full potential in life. He has helped me to understand my worth and my value as a mother and a woman of God. His wisdom has helped me through life's roller coasters. His words always give me strength to know that everything will be okay. He is the pastor that God chose for me to sit under. And under his leadership, I am seeing results. Today, I stand in confidence as a strong woman and mother pursuing entrepreneurship, setting goals for my children, and I spiritually mature, bold, and filled with joy. There are so many things I can say about Chief Apostle Bishop Lamor Whitehead. Honestly, there aren't enough definitions in the most up-to-date dictionary to describe who he is as a person and what he means to me. Bishop is resilient, witty, unwavering, ingenious, genuine, fervent, and faithful. Oh, she definitely pulled that dictionary out. Come on, sis. Malice does not exist with this man of God. He is an example for the world and other leaders who watch him. His work in the community is something to marvel about because he doesn't do it for publicity. Well, hold on, man. His work in the community is something to marvel about because he doesn't do it for publicity like many others, but he does it because of who he is. You can always bet Bishop has a toy drive for Christmas or a turkey drive for Thanksgiving going on. I pray that you could see past the lies and really hone in on who Bishop really is as a person. Please find it in your heart to reconsider this case and show him mercy. Okay. Okay, here's another one from the ministry. Said he's been under his tutelage and shepherdship of Chief Apostle Bishop Lamor Whitehead since 2019. in his direct leadership since 2021. Okay, I'm not going to read that. I just can't. My name is... Okay, let's skip that. I am writing this letter regarding my dear friend, pastor, mentor, and Bishop Lamor Whitehead. I want to bring to your light the kind of person that he is, despite the grave allegation that he has faced in recent time. I have known him for the past years as a bishop. He is a true gentleman and is always true to his word. His enthusiasm has led to many good works in society and in the community. Let me go down to this. There have been many things that he has done in the community, from giving back and talking to the community to stop the violence. As a bishop, he performs funeral services for people that have lost a loved one at no cost. His free real estate classes have helped me be in a position to take and pass the exam to become a real estate agent. I am very well aware of the charges that he is facing and the consequences of those charges. But looking at the current situation of the Whitehead family and the church, I would like to plead for leniency. Bishop Whitehead is a well-mannered gentleman, and I am sure he will learn from this experience and will not think of going back to court for any reason. Even when he was attacked in the media and being harassed by them, he remained calm and cool.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? Huh? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you said on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Calm. I guess. Thank you, Lolisa, for the cash app. I appreciate you, sis. Elaine, thank you so much for the cash app. I appreciate you. I hope you look into this matter and consider this character reference letter before passing judgment. Bishop Whitehead will strive to make amends, and I'm sure we will get to see his good works bringing fruitful results to our society and community again. So then these people, the Jacksons, they said they have been, wait a minute. That's the last one I'm gonna read. It's only like 11 altogether, but let's read this. Let's read this together. We are the Jacksons are writing the letters to provide a character reference for Bishop Lamor Whitehead. We have known Bishop Lamor Whitehead for 4 years, serving as leaders on his Levitical team at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries. Throughout this time, we have found Bishop Lamor Whitehead to be a person of integrity, reliability, generosity, compassionate, trustworthy, and kind. Bishop Whitehead has always been concerned about the well-being of the members of his church and the community. When I was diagnosed with kidney cancer, Whitehead, along with my husband, was one of the first faces I saw after waking from a radical nephrectomy. I was messing that up before. Nephrectomy. Bishop Whitehead was caring, compassionate, and concerned for my well-being. Bishop Whitehead had labored in prayer for me and my family. When Mac's mother was sick and on her deathbed in another state, Whitehead took the time out of his day to pray with Mac and his mother. Although it doesn't seem like much, but it meant a great deal to all of us. He gave Mac's mother comfort in her final days. Whitehead has always been compassionate, integral, and kind. Bishop Whitehead wants everyone around him to be a better person. He encouraged everyone around him to improve their lives and reach for more. Bishop Whitehead is a staple in the community, always giving back to the community. Bishop Whitehead conducts an annual Thanksgiving turkey drive and donates groceries, annual Christmas toy drives, and an annual back to school drive, giving children gift cards for school clothes, book bags, and school supplies. So, are you guys saying this happened every year? Because we didn't see it every year. But I get what you're saying. Okay. Bishop has helped people pay their rents, their mortgages, help people. Let me add 2 + 2. You help people pay their mortgage, but you are just lost your house for not paying your mortgage since the last 2-3 years, allegedly. You help people pay your mortgage, but you are currently have a building in foreclosure in Connecticut, which they allege you never paid after you were able to get the money to buy the building for the last 2-3 years. I just don't understand this thought. So he paying mortgages, utilities, personal bills, and put groceries in their homes. But you couldn't give this lady back her money. Like, this is just not clicking to me. How does this click for any court? But you couldn't give Pauline her money back? I don't, because he never said he didn't take the money when it came to Pauline Anderson. He never said he didn't take it. Bishop never wanted to see anyone go without. Except who? When you owe child support? Bishop Whitehead was raised by a strong single mother and has a soft spot in his heart for single mothers. Bishop Whitehead would offer assistance to the expecting mothers as much as possible, gifting the necessities for the beginning of life: cribs, strollers, car seats, toys, and bottles. Bishop has consistently demonstrated positive traits of kindness, honesty, and responsibility and generosity. Bishop Whitehead's character has positively impacted those around them and people of the community. Now, I did hear, I believe, at the trial when Rashid Anderson was testifying that he did. I don't know if they threw the shower for him and his wife when they had their first kid, or I know that he provided. I don't know if it was just a venue, but he was supposed to be a part of that somehow as well. Oh, Jesus. He was going to give it back, but y'all didn't give him a chance. Lolisa. It's time to get off of here. We've been out here for 2 hours. You guys are clowning in this chat. I'm just trying to show you with some of the nice things that maybe we have not seen that they say that they experience. This is these people's experiences. Now, when you have sentencing, usually there are a slew of letters that people give. Usually it's more than these letters. But nevertheless, you can also have people that can ask the judge, if the judge allows, if they can verbally say something. So perhaps at the sentencing, then people will come then that are related to him in some form or fashion. And maybe they'll say nice things. I don't know. Ray said he needs receipts. Well, listen, one thing's for certain. That doggone, let me see. Thank you so much. So, Whitehead's family apparently sent letters today. And this is from Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. It says, "Dear Honorable Judge, my name is Faith Whitehead, and I am the mother of Lamor Whitehead. I am writing to you in regard to my concern for my son. Lamar has always been kind to everyone he meets. He would give you the shirt off of his back. He has been a pastor for 11 years, dedicating his life to the community. Lamar gives to the Children's Hospital and homeless shelters. Lamar has held numerous food drives to feed the needy. Lamar would let people go into the store as well and get anything they needed and pay for it himself when they could not. Lamar would even pay people's rent when they fell behind. Lamar would help people buy homes and made sure that children had clothes on their back and shoes on their feet. Lamar is so generous and helped provide for me as well. He has such a good heart and he is such a giving person. I love him so much and I need him. We just lost my mother at 108 years old, and he was such a blessing to us. He always took care of his grandma. I don't want to lose him. My heart is hurting. Please take these things into consideration for my son. Respectfully, Faith Whitehead. That is from, oh, Lord have mercy. So it was a bunch of letters. Okay. Jaden. Okay, the son has something to say. First, I like to say that I hope all is well. I'm 16 years old and my baby sister is 9. Her name is Soraya and she is a great dancer. Our relationship with our dad is very strong and pure, from training me in sports to just talking and walking with me. He is a great father. Soraya cries most nights because she misses her dad. I console her, love her to death, but I can only do so much. Only her father can fill that void and heal the pain she is feeling right now. To get more in depth on the impact and great traits my father brings to my sister and I, my dad is our Mr. Makes It Happen. No matter the circumstances, he gets the job done for us. I suffer from anxiety and depression, which plays a part in how much I communicate with others. However, my father and I have a bond that is stronger than ever. Ever since the decision to keep him until his sentences arise, I have been lost mentally. My father and I have always had a tight bond. Your Honor, whatever you decide, I ask that you please not be too harsh. A childhood without a father is very rough, not just for me, but mainly for my little sister. This topic makes me very emotional and difficult to talk about, so I will keep this short. My father, Lamor Whitehead, is a great person, dad, and teammate. Whenever we have the time to play basketball, he was always willing to play and help me get better. I ask that when you make your decision, you please keep the impact you please keep the impact it will have on me, but more importantly, on my little sister and mine. I don't know what we will do without him. Thank you for your time. That's from Jaden. Who was this? This is somebody who says they're the brother. Behalf of my brother, I have witnessed his generosity towards people in the community from childhood to present. His unwavering spirit to help others has been remarkable to watch. I have watched Lamor build his faith-based church in Brooklyn, New York, through hard work and dedication for the community he served. In the past, he fed families from all walks of life by allowing them to shop at grocery stores in Brooklyn for the holiday, along with a toy giveaway at the church. He also gave out gift cards to spend a particular clothing store for back to school shopping. Lamar has ministered to people who are incarcerated and people in the community as long as he was able to preach the word of God and save lives. He was fulfilled. Please consider all the work he has done for others in the community before you render your decision. I pray that you give him probation, not incarceration, so that he can continue his work in the community. Respectfully, Cresson. Gee, who is this? This is his attorney, Figaro. Is that Figaro? Mm, I have witnessed. Okay. Oh, Lord. This is long. We have Derek. This is the brother. Lamar's younger brother. I'm writing in reference to Lamor Whitehead, who is appearing before your court after his conviction. I hope you take my letter into consideration before you sentence him. And I also hope you see the impact he had on my life, which led me into the man that I am today. I'm writing this letter from my heart because I don't know when I will see Lamor again. And I want to make sure that you get to know who he really is. I feel strongly about my brother Lamor and his future, and I wanted to try to make you feel somewhat the same way if possible. Lamor Whitehead is truly a nice, kind-hearted person who would do anything for his friends and family. Due to these circumstances, it may seem far-fetched to believe, but nonetheless, it's the truth, and I can attest to that. My brother was always here for me. He grew up in the same house until he left for college. As adults, living 5 hours apart, traveling home often to visit wasn't ideal. due to work and raising my family, but we still maintain a solid relationship via phone call, FaceTime, as well as over social media. I currently live in the state of Massachusetts with my wife and 3 children, but you would have thought I lived next door based on the relationship me and Lamar have. I witnessed Lamar Whitehead at his best times as well as his worst. Life is full of ups and downs, as we all know, and all the while I have been convinced that he is still a great role model and a great person. Lamar Whitehead would never try to hurt anyone. I hope you can understand this as you read my letter. I know he must receive the punishment after conviction, but at this same time, I ask that you be fair and consider his future, because everybody deserves an opportunity to get a second chance in life. I hope you can I hope you can be fair in your sentence. He has a lot of friends and family that truly love and care for him. I also hope you will recognize that power you wield regarding his future and his children's future. Jeff. My name is Jeff, and I am Lamar Whitehead's cousin. I watched him grow up, and he was a great kid and has always treated me with respect. Once he became a man, he always took care of his family, his children, and his 108-year-old grandmother until the end. He takes care of his mother and his siblings. Lamar always tried to take care of his extended family as well. Lamar worked in the community with young adults and children with a vital for today's youth. Lamar has always been extremely generous and has given back to the community for many years. He had a great personality, very charismatic, and always has a smile on his face. He has a great sense of humor, and you always feel good when he's around. Please take these things into consideration. He is much needed by the community. Who is this? Okay, then somebody said they the godmother. Is that the last one, Tracy? I've seen this Figueroa. Okay, here's the godmother. Cynthia. Cynthia's writing character referral letter for Whitehead. Wait, hold on 1 second. The Cynthia's writing character to Bishop Lamar Whitehead, who is my godson. I have known him for his entire life and watched him develop into a beautiful young man who is sensitive to other people's needs. He went to college on a basketball scholarship and through his good works received honorary doctorates. Along the years, I have been fortunate to witness many ceremonies of accomplishment, such as the ordination service as a minister, bishop, and chief apostle. There were many distinguished guests that were there, and some took. Where is Chef Don Don? We need that video of the ordination. Because the godmama said it was a lot of distinguished people at the ceremony, and maybe that was a different ceremony. Bishop Whitehead opened a place of worship for his people, demonstrate his care for them and his community. Many young people as well, many adults follow his leadership. Bishop Whitehead cared so much for people that on many Thanksgivings, he would make sure he distributed turkeys with all the. If I hear about these turkeys one more time. For over 100 or more hungry families. He organized back to school supply drives. We know. Filled up book bags, and each parent who met him at Cookie's department store received a gift card of $100 for uniforms for each child. Bishop Whitehead has 3 wonderful children who love him dearly, and it makes me proud to see him interact with them and make sure they know that he loves them and provides them as a father should. He loves and takes care of his mother and his grandmother, who recently died at the age of 100. It was 108, ma'am, 108. You didn't read the other letters. With all the pressures of the evil things he had to go through, he continues to stand firm, knowing that God will give him the strength to go on. Bishop Whitehead is a man of God, and I ask that you show mercy sentencing him. Okay. And then we got this Figueroa. Bryant's, this is a Figueroa. I'm writing this character reference letter for Bishop Whitehead, currently facing sentences as a fellow community member. I have witnessed Bishop Whitehead's unwavering commitment to serving others, especially those facing adversity. As the Bible says in Psalms 34:18, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. On Sunday, September 11, 2016, at a service by his church, Leaders of Tomorrow in Brooklyn, I was presented a citation by Bishop Lamor Whitehead on behalf of the former borough president and current mayor Eric Adams. The word signed and affixed by the future mayor recognized Bishop Whitehead as a proxy for saluting and applauding an influential individual whose significant achievement and community activities had positively impacted the lives of the people of the borough of Brooklyn. In addition to myself, there were other honorees, amongst them several pastors who had found God during the interactions, whether state or federal. These pastors, including Bishop Whitehead, spoke about their journey from incarceration to freedom and their journey of accepting Jesus Christ as their Savior. The pastor's sermons can only be described as inspirational and touching. Bishop Whitehead's sermon, delivered with passion and conviction, brought tears to the eyes of me and several other guests. Bishop Whitehead's journey and the journey of many men of color is one of the biggest tragedies in the Black community. Bishop Whitehead and I have crossed paths numerous times over the years through his impactful work in the community and his church Leaders of Tomorrow, a 501c3 organization. His efforts to build his church through social media and his physical presence in Brooklyn, New York, have resonated far beyond our borough, touching the lives of countless individuals, regardless of their background. His work has instilled hope in many, demonstrating the transformative power of faith and community. Bishop Whitehead is a soldier of God who works in the name of Jesus Christ to change the lives of many, giving them hope, letting them know they had to work hard to achieve their goals, whatever it may be, from going back to school, focusing on their jobs, taking care of their children, their elders, and the poor, while at the same time trying to build the self-esteem of his followers so that they can be productive members of society. Bishop Whitehead's journey from incarceration to freedom is a testament of the power of transformation. He believes, and I believe, that he was doing God's work. Today, Bishop Whitehead stands before you, Your Honor, at the sentencing hearing. I believe that probation, not incarceration, is the best approach the court should take. I am convinced his work in the community and with his church has the potential to help hundreds of people who were either incarcerated, formerly incarcerated, or in the community who needed help and lacked guidance. Bishop Whitehead and his church organization can positively impact our community with this opportunity. I am willing to work with him to steer him and the church in the direction that Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, would like for him to follow. As said in Proverbs 35:6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. I urge the court to consider Bishop Lamor Whitehead's contributions. Please show mercy. Is that it, Tracy? Did we missing somebody, Tracy? Tracy, we missing somebody? That is true. That's all we got, Tracy? Tracy, is that it? I'm sorry. Somebody gave me a clip probably of this pastor. You know, y'all sending me all this stuff. Okay, guys, that's it. That is Lamor Whitehead. Tracy, you're not answering. That's all. Tracy. Hold on, something doesn't feel right about these. Why do every one of these letters sound like they are saying the exact same thing, not just similar? We are talking copy and paste. Let me ask some of my sources. A couple of these people I got contact with, I'm about to ask, like, huh? You are welcome. Can who come live with me? Whitehead? I think he's busy right now. Okay, who come live with me? Oh, check my email. Okay, let's see. We just on here chilling like we ain't got nothing else to do. Hold on. Let's see. What email you send it to, Don? Wait a minute. Did you send it to my actual job? Wait a minute. Did you go find my firm email or something? I don't see it. I don't see it. 50 Cent didn't write one. Jamal, I didn't see one from Jamal. He's the only one that publicly supported him. So, you can still have some people that come and they say something personally. I've been there where pastors have come. The kid has come just for the more personable approach. Maybe that's what's going to happen. He does. Yes. Yes, he does. He does owe back child support. Yeah, I know Jamal got other things to do. He doesn't need this type of publicity right now. He's up here trying to convince people about his engagement right now. So Jamal is busy. He's sick of y'all talking about him and his proclivities. Y'all up here trying to warn the lady, run, Forrest. Guys up here trying to warn the lady she's in love. He said he loves her with everything in him. That is his mood, because he wants to see her at night. Yeah, I said, God, she's like the rainbow, because he's gonna keep reminding, she's gonna be a reminder of all the promises that God has for my life. That's what Jamal said. Jamal said he ain't got time for no whitehead foolishness. He got his little numbers and now he moving on. I love this lady right here. You guys have had me as a pastor for 5 years, and now you guys are gaining a first lady. Just don't let him call you the last lady, because that's what he called Tweet, and you see what happened. So, saying. Just some sister to sister advice. Thank you for the super chat. You said thanks for the update on Whitehead. Great live, Pam, as always. Thank you, Pen Pal. I appreciate you. Alice said it's time to go. Now I'm just acting random. Okay. Okay, all right. Let me see. I was trying to see if anybody hit me back, to let me know. Let me know. I'll let y'all know in the membership if I get some more information, because I'm about to contact a couple of these people. No, I'm joking. I don't want y'all going back like she was talking to the family the whole time. No. Andrea said Jamal said he ain't got time for Whitehead. He got too many children to ignore and not publicly. Andrea, you being held in contempt. I need you to show cause why you should not be held in contempt. Willie said, I'm a baby attorney, but I want to be like you in the future, the way you break this stuff. Thank you, Willie. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I want you to be better than me. What I tell people, we out here trying to win, but we win because we all have specific people that are assigned to our life. Nobody can be like you and nobody can be like me. Nobody can be an attorney like you because you have specific people that God has for you, and the same thing for me. So we're not even in competition. We really sister and brother counsel because we all are here and we all have been created for justice. So that's what we out here doing. And I just add a little, of my hee hee ha ha, personality to it, but I'm sure you'll be great. Jamal was at the twins' graduation. He not trying to be on Real House of Potomac getting dressed. How we end up on Jamal? I meant to go live about Nesto today. I'm gonna have to go tomorrow because this ended up being almost a 3-hour live. I don't know why it's this long, but I thank you guys for hanging in there with me and rocking with me. The ski jumper. That's what he called me. He called me a ski jumper. I was like, what is that? How you gonna call me out my name and I don't even know what you're talking about? I don't even know what that means. But anyway, that is it. We'll be back in the next week and a half or so whenever the government decides to basically, go in on their on their response. No, I think I am going to do a video, though, for all of you guys that are following the Ernest Williams. I am going to do one on the discovery, even though it was just a basic kind of a filing. Some of the questions that I saw in my membership, I think is worth generally answering because a lot of people have asked them now. So that is something that I do plan on doing. Now, something may happen between now and then we talking about something else with them. So you never know what's going to happen with that case. So yes. Why are you asking if her plea was rejected? They offered that plea. They offered the plea with Erica. So I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I haven't even looked at that lawsuit. That's too much going on. I had to go get my 50,000 phones right now. You see, I got a whole new phone. You guys have scared me. I got my other phone upstairs. I done threw the other one in the trash. I done deleted everything out of it. You guys were like, no, she's gonna take all your information. I was like, what? What are you guys talking? All they do is they need your number. That's it. And then they just steal your whole life. Like they take your DNA and everything. I was like, what? Y'all see, I'm not lying. I had a whole brand new phone. I'm not playing with y'all. No. Don't let her do it to you, Pam. And just in case you guys was wondering too, I'm going to show y'all a little snippet. I'm going to give you a little snippet here. Mm-hmm. Me too. My name is Pam. Hello. Hi, Erica. Good to meet you. We know a whole lot about Ernest, but we just wanted to know a little bit about you and get your side. I see that you're pleading guilty, so what made you go ahead and take the plea? Because I spent 7 months in jail. Mm-hmm. Yep, I got a whole recording, just to let y'all know. I might put it together and put it in membership. I don't know. So that's that. Mm-hmm. Just so y'all know what she sound like. No, because they like to steal my stuff out here. You know what I'm saying? So then I got to be all, Said, Pam, please see if Erica deal was rejected. Okay, I see. letting her, you know, where y'all get a deal reject? I don't know. I don't know anything about. What I do know is last time I was on there with Erica, they didn't give her the discovery. They just put the witness list. Now she's supposed to go back at a later date. She accepted the deal on the record. And she acknowledged she was accepting the deal. Now all of the terms of everything has to go on record in the future. So right. And I don't want to do all that. Like, ain't nobody doing all that. So that's why I said I'll just say what was said, and that's that. Because you know I take extensive notes. You know what? What? Just finished watching a documentary you featured in about the bishop, huh? What documentary are you talking about? Eve, I don't know anything about a documentary. I don't know anything about no deal rejections. I don't know any of that. So the judge did not mention that when we were there at all. He didn't say. They put what he asked what the nature of the deal was. She just wanted, he was actually willing to put the deal on the record while we were there. So I don't know anything about that. Unless she got some inside information. I don't know anything about that. So sure, I don't listen. I know when I was there, let me look something up right quick. When I was there, and I don't know how she would know anything, how anybody would know anything like that, because when I was there, the judge was willing to take the plea right there. It was just they want the victims to be able to say what they want to say, because what I told you guys, they're supposed to be 24, 25, or whatever the amount of the victims were. And so she wanted to have sentencing at the same time. So she wanted to be sentenced at the same time. She wanted to get it over with. Nope. Last thing filed was the state's witness list. So I don't know anything about what they're talking about. I don't understand. Listen, I don't know. I just know I was there. And when I was there, the judge was literally going to take the deal on the record. And she said, and then he said, I'm gonna try to get it in as soon as possible. He said, but because of this time of year, it's very busy on the docket. And because of that, we're going to try to get you in. So that's why he said, let me make sure that does your lawyer have a good address for you? It's like, yes, has good contact information, because we're going to contact her and then she contact you instead of us having to send you a notice. So Wooten just wanted time in order to get the information. Wooten just wanted time in order to, if any of the victims wanted to come forward and say anything, that they can have time to say anything. But she's like, she pleading guilty. I mean, that's what she said. And she's done like 7 months in the county already. And she's not accused of everything that Nesto is accused of. Like, I think people are, has she been accused of scamming folks? Yeah. But she's not accused of the same thing. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Well, Listen, I'm gonna go by what information I get. I don't understand how somebody would know anything about what's going on with her except her and her lawyer. And all I can report is what was said in the courtroom. And based on what the judge gave no inclination in that courtroom that was the case. Now, do I profess to know everything? Absolutely not. But again, just like saying everybody knew that the divorce hearing was moved, but it was made as if, oh, it's not, he not showing up and all that stuff. So I don't know what's up with this. Everybody want to give exclusive information. I don't know what that's about, but I'm just going to report what I have solid information about. That's it. Anything else, we'll see what happens. And if this supposed, especially if it's something that was told during the visits, it's like, and again, she has not been charged. If you look at her indictment, if you go to her, she is charged with conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, filing false documents, identity fraud 3 times, filing false documents, identity fraud, conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, false statements in writing, identity fraud, conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, filing false documents, identity theft, fraud, and using something, possession, knowingly alter, conceal, cover it, conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, identity fraud, forgery in the first degree, impersonating another, forgery in the first degree, identity theft, fraud, aggravated identity fraud, aggravated identity fraud, aggravated identity fraud, aggravated identity fraud, forgery in the first degree, unauthorized practice of law, impersonating another, knowingly alter, conceal, knowingly file a false document, impersonating another, and false statements for writing and concealment. And a lot of this stuff literally has to do with her acting like an attorney. So all these dates of all of these charges, it's February 1st of 2021, February 3rd of 2021, March 24th of 2021, April 1st and April 5th of 2021, June 10th of 2022. Those are all the dates. It's a lot of the same dates that are on here for the identity fraud and all of that. So in the indictment, hers start with like number 7, that she's a part of it with Nesto. And that's the conspiracy charge to commit a misdemeanor. And she had some of it that was not presented to the grand jury, and some of it, yeah, she had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 14 that weren't even presented to the grand jury. So you guys are horrible. Tell me I'm glad you got a new phone with all those charges. So yeah, I'm really like interested to see as far as the victims, if they have anything to say, which one will show up, if the attorney that she impersonated is going to show up. Be interesting. Very interesting. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. Thank you guys so much for spending almost 3 hours of your time with your girl. We got to have one for the road.
You's a clown, that's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough. Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you say on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
That sucker gets me every time. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe.
And another thing you notice, the first thing they say, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. That's what it's all about. After they get the dog you out, before they dog you out, that's the first thing they say. If you like this video, make sure you hit.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, I'll holler at you guys later.